You ready to study Luke chapter 6, verse 27, I think? And we'll read on for a few verses. Anybody with me on that? So I'm going to read one verse, and then I'm going to stop and preach, and then I'll read the rest and preach on it, all right? Don't normally do that. So, but I say to you who hear. So this you who hear is who he's talking to. Now, the problem is that is a way smaller group than you would think. Hearing is something that Jesus talks about a lot. Many words tickle your ears. Your hammer, anvil, and stirrup work fine. But your hearing, you're taking in what he's saying and understanding, turns off. Your brain turns off. One of the hardest things about teaching in 21st century America is that you can teach something 10 weeks in a row, and the very people in the crowd don't know what you said, don't know what you believe. You'll be in a personal conversation with them, and you'll tell them something, and they'll say, I wish I knew you believed that. And because during these services, their brain goes off. If we could have a light on each of your heads that was on when you're listening and went off as soon as you stopped, we would start the service with all the house lights off and the room would be as bright as day. But somewhere during the middle of the sermon, we'd have to start turning the lights on. Somebody would be there with the dimmers trying to make it average out as your lights start going off. Blink, 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 blink. You're somewhere else. You don't know what's being said. And it's really important because Jesus says over and over, he who has ears to hear, let him hear. And it's not a male-female hymn. They. It's every human alive is going to be responsible for hearing what Jesus said and responding to it. Now, at the end of this address, at the end of the beginning, it's a beginning section, he says, why do you call me Lord and don't do what I tell you? Why do you even think I'm your Lord? And then in the Matthew version of this very thing, he says, everyone who calls me Lord will not enter the kingdom of heaven. This is really important. This room should be brightly lit. That was good. Brightly lit, lightly Brit. Some of you were listening because you heard me say that wrong. Praise the Lord. Hallelujah. Anyway, when I'm telling you that Jesus is going to say to someone, I never knew you, who called him Lord. Why do you call me Lord? I never knew you. Yeah, but we cast out demons. We spoke in tongues. I didn't even know you. Because you weren't listening. I did not know you. And what he calls listening is that you act upon it. Later in this address, he's going to talk about it's him who hears these words of mine and puts them into action. He's the one who built his house on a firm foundation. He who hears these words of mine but daydreamed through it about what he's going to do after church or what's for lunch or the trouble he's having, he's going to be the one who does not act it out because he doesn't really know what Jesus said, and his life is going to be built on sand. Hearing what Jesus said isn't something, it isn't part of the thing, it isn't the milk of the word. You'll read from Jesus that what he says is that it's everything. We have red letter editions now so that we can identify when is Jesus talking. It's like, when's he talking? Let's listen. Because it's, I say, I'm talking to people who hear me. That's what he's doing. Truly, I say to you, he who has ears to hear, let him hear. If you don't have ears to hear, if you cannot hear him, if you cannot respond to what he's saying, then this next section won't even be hard for you because you won't hear it. Your light will be out. We will need the house lights. And I will be speaking again, something I speak a lot. So I'm going to read the rest of it. But I say to you who hear. And here's where it just starts kicking you, right in the rear. Love your enemies. Oh my goodness. Do good to those who hate you. Say what? Bless those who curse you. That just isn't my habit. Pray for those who mistreat you. Man, that's a load right there. Whoever hits you on the cheek, offer him the other also. What is he talking about? Whoever takes away your coat, don't withhold your shirt from them either. Give to everyone who asks of you. And whoever takes away what is yours, do not demand it back. Treat others the same way you want them to treat you. If you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners love those who love them. If you do good to those who do good to you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners do the same. If you lend to those whom you expect to receive, what credit is that to you? Even sinners lend to sinners in order to receive back the same amount. But love your enemies Love your enemies and do good and lend, expecting nothing in return. And your reward will be great, and you will be sons of the Most High God. For he himself is kind to ungrateful and evil men. Whoa! Was that a mouthful? Were you listening? Because if you were listening, you might want to go. This may not be the club you wanted to join. I mean, did you hear what he is saying to us? Last week I had the same problem. What he just said, I want all of those. He said, all these bad things are going to happen. Woe to you. Unexpected grief to you. And he named 4 things. And I'm like, I want all those things. My whole life is after all those things. And there's going to be unexpected grief and woe to me. I got to change. I have to hear the truth and change. And in this one, this is what he just told you to do. Do good, bless, pray for, offer the other cheek to, offer your shirt to, give, and who you're doing it to is those who hate you, curse you, mistreat you, hit you in the face, and take your coat. And don't pay back what you loaned them. Did you hear what he just said? Then he goes, your reward will be great in heaven, and God will be your father to the point where he will call you his son. Now that's a heck of a reward. I want it. I decided. I want that more than being rich. I want that more than men speaking well of me. I want that more than not being hated. I want that more than everything I've ever seen. My reward to be great in heaven, and my Father in heaven to call me son. Amen. I choose that. How do I get it? By making him my Lord. What does that mean? Master, owner, teacher, my God who art in heaven, and he's my Father, my friend, my brother. I get to be a joint heir in his suffering. No one ever reads that one right. I get to be a joint heir in his reward, but like Paul said, we are joint heirs of his suffering. I still want my reward in heaven. But everybody's saying something different. There's just so many different voices. There's so much noise in the world. Just take the radio and hit it. Go on TV and go down the sermons. It's about this long on my what do you call that thing on TV? No, the menu. On my menu, it's like you can pick any preacher everywhere on the world. You can get this guy telling you that grace covers everything, and this guy telling you grace covers nothing, and you amen both. This guy telling you have to take care of yourself in the future, and this guy telling you don't, you amen both. We're just so stinking confused. Right. This guy quoting Solomon about only the sluggard doesn't leave an inheritance for his grandchildren. You got this Jesus over here saying, why are you worrying about tomorrow? Why are you worrying about housing and food and clothing? Why are you worrying about your Father in heaven will take care of you better than sparrows. He'll take care of you better than the beautiful grass. Birds. That's what a sparrow is. You follow me? He'll take care of me. But all this confusion. How about this one? Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. And baby, I want your eye for my eye. And he's going to get it. But now when I owe you my eye, didn't you read where Jesus says you have to forgive? We are so confused. We apply this and we apply that and we go here and we go there and we try to use this Bible to prove every point we've got. And he's saying, I'm speaking to the ones who hear. I'm speaking to the ones who listen to me. Love your enemies. Let me read this again to you because you got to get this. And now when I read it over like a second time, you go, we got this. And you go into your daydream and all the lights go out. But don't let the lights go out because this is what makes your reward in heaven. That you become a person that becomes the words of Jesus, who loved the very men hitting the nails through his wrist. He loved the men swinging the whip. He died for them, bled for them, suffered for them. And he's telling you, you want to come with me? Bless, do good, 2, pray for, offer another cheek, offer your shirt when the guy stole your coat, give to anyone that asks, lend without expecting return, to those who hate you, curse you, mistreat you, hit your face, and take your coat, and who don't repay their loans. I got to do all that. And it's like, this is above me. This is out of my reach. But it is what he's saying, that if I want my reward to be great and my Father to call me son, it's Jesus. And I forgot to remind the first service, when you go back to the beginning, it says he turned to talk to his disciples. Wow. I've heard many sermons say, oh no, he's talking to Jews here. He's not. Luke actually told us he turned to talk to his disciples. I want to be Jesus' disciple. So he's talking to me. Is he talking to you? He's talking to me. Loving my enemies? How about I just don't have any enemies or I ignore them? Then I got to love them. I just deny anybody's ever insulted me. Man, I got people hating me, insulting me all over the place. The more I deny it, the more I have so that I can... He's trying really hard to get me to the table. Son, I want your reward to be great. I want to call you son. Love your enemy. Do good for those who mistreat you. Love those who insult you. Pray for those that mistreat you. I mean, it's like, what? Give to any man that asks of you. Yeah, but he's a jerk. He's just going to use it for dope. But he asked you. Okay, it's your money, Lord. If you want him to have it. He didn't tell me to figure out what they're going to use it for. It's like, that's crazy. I'll be broke. Everybody will figure it out. Okay, ask him. Actually, I had a pastor tell me that. Well, if everybody found out, I'd be broke. Well, that's a lot of faith. I did it successfully, and I failed for the first time after many years. I believe it was 36 years straight. I had not failed on that particular item until I was angry about my granddaughter suffering. I walked out of a mall in Palo Alto, and a guy come up and asked me for money, and I told him to get the heck out of my face. And I walked away realizing I just blew 36 years of success. I was so mad at him. You know. So, love your enemies. Give to anyone who asks. Don't lend expecting a return, but expect nothing. Ask for nothing. Be owed nothing. Deserve nothing. It just goes on. And I'm like, you know what? This sounds like a real problem, a real trouble. But I've had success in my life. I have actually been able to do good and forgive people who hate me and insult me, and there's plenty of them. Some I brought on, but most I didn't deserve, but does it really matter? He didn't say, only do it to those who they hate you for no reason or unfairly. No. They just hate you, that's it. And I've seen this, and I said, wait a minute. When I'm successful at these things, my life is the best it's ever been. Their hate doesn't steer my life. Their insults don't make me hate myself. Their actions don't determine mine. They don't control me. And you may not know this, but they do control us. Our unforgiveness, our returning hate for hate, insult for insult, being unmerciful, unforgiving, it controls us. It steers us into more misery, more hate. Hate makes hate. You know I'm telling the truth, don't you? Love makes love. It really does. And I got to tell you, this isn't very popular, what I'm saying today. Jesus took 3 guys up a hill. On the way, they met Moses and they met Elijah. And the disciples who were with him said to Jesus, man, it's so good we're here. We can make 3 altars to you, 3 equal people. God's people. We can make altars to each of you. And the Father in heaven spoke out of a cloud for them all to hear. And he said, this is my son. Listen to him. And the other 2 disappeared. And only Jesus was standing there. And I think you and I are just like those disciples. We want to make altars to everything else. Anything that gets me to be able to loan and expect return. Anything that gets me to be able to hate those who hate me. I want to give eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. I want to apply the right things. I want to take care of numero uno. Are you hearing me? And I know I want to build an altar to my own abilities. I'm smartest man in the room. Or I'm fastest man on the track. Or I'm strongest man in the gym. I want to build an altar to who I am and what I can do. Instead of laying it down at the feet of the Father and wanting first and foremost to be called his son. First and foremost to be called a disciple of Jesus Christ, becoming his son. So that I can build one altar in my life and put him on it as the king of my life, as the Lord. And he won't ever say to me, why are you calling me Lord? You don't do anything I asked you to do. No, Lord, I do. Because you told me to love those who hate me. You told me to do good to those who insult me. You told me to not act like the world acts, but act like you told me. You are my Lord. Not that I would argue with Jesus or have to. He would know. But I'm just performing it for you in that case. Illustration. Do you understand? So Jesus is saying all these things. And the Father in heaven is telling you and me, this is my son. And we're listening to radio stations and TV stations and every preacher from every far angle just trying, let's find the one that fits my need the most. Let's find the one that scratches my itch, tickles my fancy. Let's find the one that I can gain the most from and wiggle my way and get around all this crazy turning the other cheek. Are you kidding me? After he hits the second one, do I get to finally hit him back? No. That wasn't the point of it all. And yet you'll hear that in a message. You'll hear that in preaching. We are so confused as a people, and I'm telling you, Father's house, listen to me. That's right. We have to listen to Jesus. We have to read these red letters. You have to come to church when the doors are open and sit in these chairs. And you've got to keep your light on of listening. You've got to be people who hear. You've got to have ears to hear. And when you hear this challenging message and you realize, like I do, I don't love those who hate me. Are you kidding me? I don't know if I can. And you've got to struggle and fight and run the race and pummel your body into submission and do whatever it takes to become a man who does what Jesus says to do. And you've got to let these words change you. You sitting in this room not listening to the words of Jesus will not make you a disciple any more than sitting in McDonald's will make you a hamburger. You have to hear, respond, act upon, and move in the direction of being discipled and perfected in his glory so that you might win the prize. The great reward in heaven, being called his son. Is this crazy or what that he says this? I want to tear the page out of my Bible. It's frustrating. Let's skip this one. And guess what? Everybody who skips it gets. Why do you call me Lord? Not everyone who calls me Lord will enter the kingdom of heaven, he said in Matthew. I call him Lord every single day of my life. What's he going to say to me? Well, I've got a plan. I'm on it 100%. I'm after him. Transform me. Heal my wrong thinking. Teach me. Tell me what to do. Tell me where to go. All that I have is yours. A few years back, I had these doors stolen from me right out of Southside. If you don't know, a house builder for 40-some years. I was building houses like I do. And they stole my doors. And I was so mad at the employee who left them out. You left them in Southside? They're $1,200 each. I usually spend $100 a door. This is not $1,200 doors. And there was a couple of them. I jumped in my truck and I went up and down the streets of Southside looking at every house. Somebody's remodeling. They're tearing their front door off. This is the best. This is going to be the nicest front door in all of Southside, and I've got them. When they put it on, I've got them. I got a police report right here. I've got the receipt right here. Picture of the door in the magazine. I got them. They're going to have to prove where they bought those doors. I had them. I was driving up and down. The problem with having them is I never found the stinking doors. And the Lord, I'm driving. I don't know if I was started over here, went up and down the roads. I was over here near 8th Street, and the Lord said, "What are you doing?" "I'm looking for my doors." He said, "Whose doors?" "Oh, Lord, why didn't you say this on 8th Street? Why'd you wait to A?" "Your doors, Lord. I'm looking for your doors. Don't you want me to get your doors back?" "Lord, they're your doors. You can let anybody have your doors you want. I'll go back and order some more doors with your money." Which I did. And I was changed. I was completely changed. I had been ripped off so many times trying to help Southside change, you know. People were just stealing on me blind. I won't tell the other stories like I did in the first service, but nonetheless. So Jesus told 2 disciples. He said, "Go into town." Now you're going to hate what I'm going to say, but he told them, "Take those 2 donkeys. You'll find a colt, a donkey, and her baby. Grab them both, would you?" You've got to stay with me on this. I hope your lights are on, because what he just told these guys to do is in Roman-occupied Israel, he told them to go take 2 donkeys without permission. I can't imagine those 2 guys walking to the donkeys. Are we going to do this, man? He complains to the centuries, "We will be crucified." But Jesus said, "Get the donkeys." What he said to them is, "Hey, if anyone questions you, just say the Lord needs them. And it'll be okay." So 3 Gospels tell that story. One says they did exactly what he told them to do. One says they said exactly what he told them to say. And the third says they found it just how he said it would be. And I find this story told 3 times with highlighted they did what they were told, they said what they were told, and they found it just like he told them it would be. That's that kind of the anthem of my life. We have a national anthem, "Oh, say, can you see," kind of thing. You know? That's not my anthem. My anthem is 3 donkey stories where if you do what he tells you to do, You say what he tells you to say, it's going to be that you're going to find it's just as he told you it would be. And you listen to Jesus like the Father said, you're going to find it's just as he told you it would be. And he says, if you will, let me read, do good, bless, pray for, offer the other cheek, give your shirt to the coat thief, loan to anybody, give to anybody. And I'm talking about the people who hate you, curse you, mistreat you, hit your cheek, take your coat, and don't repay their debts. Those are the people he's talking about. If you do what he told you to do, if you say what he told you to say, you're going to find it's just as he told you it would be. And what he told you it would be is that your reward would be great in heaven and you would be called his son or daughter. Come on, man, that's got to be worth a hoot and a holla any day. That's got to be worth some joy unspeakable, full of glory. That's got to be what blessed be means. The source is that we do what he's told us. We say what he told us. We live how he told us. And we reap the benefits of reward in heaven. That has got to be worth something in our lives, that we would never miss a chance to let the red letters of these Gospels, the stories of the epistles telling us how to live the red letters of the Gospels, that we would never miss a chance to have it change us, that in community there is power, that in community there is presence. And I got to tell you, the King is here. He's here. He's with us. He's in us. He's through us. We deserve nothing for being here. We are owed nothing for being here. But if we will follow him, he will do exactly what he said. I have insulted him. I have even hated him in my life. I have done bad to him and his people in my life. I have stolen from him, and I would have stole the offerings from my church. But he has given to me and loved me and cherished me and blessed me and prayed for me. He has done exactly what he told me to do. I have become his follower. I try with all my heart to be his listener. I try everything I can to obey him. But that was not always true. The reason I do it is because he first did it for me. He first laid on a cross and let men hit him. He let them whip him with a cat of nine tails. He let them beat him beyond resemblance. For me, the man who did not like him, the man who did not like his church, did not like his people, he did it for me. There's no way I could ever repay what he did for me. That loan he gave me, he made it a gift because I couldn't repay. I had a debt I couldn't pay. He paid a debt he didn't know. It's amazing. And he will for you. But if you can find anywhere where raising your hand in the dark or coming to an altar for a 20-second prayer assures you of great reward in heaven, we are reading this verse by verse, and we will continue. And I have to tell you, the good news and the bad. The good news is he's got a lot more to tell us. The bad news is he's got a lot more to tell us. And you have to determine whether it's good or bad for you. For me, it's the food for my soul. It's the air for my lungs. It's the very life I live to hear Jesus and follow him. And this one, last week I thought was hard with woe. This week, oh my goodness. Turn the other cheek? Who does that? He does. I want to. I hope so. Are you hearing me? Is your light on? You listening? Because this is for only those who want to hear. You miss this stuff and, man, it's going to leave a red mark. It's going to leave a red mark. I don't want that. Every pastor in the pulpit is not going to heaven. Every person sitting in churches are not going to heaven. Everyone who says they believe are not going to heaven. It is only those who act on the words of Jesus and fulfill his life here on earth, who demonstrate him to a world around them. That's the way he was. That's the way we have to be.
Thanks for watching the Father's House Orville YouTube channel, but don't stop there. We'd love you to subscribe to our channel so that you never miss a live service or a video. Help us spread the message of Jesus by sharing this video with your friends. You can also support the Father's House financially by clicking the Give button. Thanks again for watching today, and we hope to see you again soon.